Nalini, in fact, there is in fact an argument or an answer that has to be given to the court, even by the Eknath Shinde camp. This is not something that they're going to be, they also have answering to do before the Supreme Court, given that the plea has not been thrown out.
Well, yes, Neha, another important thing to remember over here is that both the Election Commission as well as the Supreme Court are both constitutionally recognized bodies. So for a constitutional body to interfere in the workings and the processes of another constitutional body is extremely rare, and that is precisely why the Supreme Court has not gone ahead and interfered with this Election Commission proceedings. Even earlier, if you remember, the Supreme Court had categorically refused to stay the proceedings going on before the Election Commission, saying that they have a right to hear this entire debate regarding who should own the bow and arrow symbol and the name Shiv Sena, and they had allowed for these proceedings to go on, in which the final order has come in last week, after which this petition was filed before the top court. But at the same time, the larger question in this case are still being kept open by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has issued a notice to Eknath Shinde calling for his response on this Election Commission order, which essentially means that Eknath Shinde will have to defend on what basis the Election Commission granted the name Shiv Sena as well as the bow and arrow symbol to him and his MLAs. It's primarily been done on the basis of the strength of the legislators that each faction has, but the Uddhav Thackeray camp continues to say that the strength of the legislators cannot be relied upon, because several of these legislators who are part of the Eknath Shinde camp are themselves under a cloud of disqualification. So with that in mind, they cannot be relied on as numbers in the House, because they might be disqualified at a later stage.
Okay.
So that is the main essential point that Uddhav Thackeray has kept forth before the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court, even though they've issued notice, has made it clear that they won't be interfering with the EC order as of now, and they've allowed the Uddhav Thackeray camp to continue using the name Shiv Sena Uddhav Balsaheb Thackeray, and also use the flaming torch symbol that was assigned to them temporarily earlier by the Election Commission.
Be with us, Nalini. I'll just come back to you in a moment from now. In fact, Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, who argued on the behalf of Eknath Shinde before the Election Commission, spoke with India Today a few moments ago. Listen in.
And they've relied only
Mahesh
on the
Jethmalani, in fact, is now joining us. Mr. Jethmalani, the court for the moment has said that there is not going to be a stay on the Election Commission order on giving the bow and arrow symbol to the Eknath Shinde faction. Your takes on this?
Well, I mean, the court was absolutely right, and yes, what you said is absolutely right as well, that the court refused to stay the order in any respect of the Election Commission.
What next then, as far as the Uddhav Thackeray camp is concerned? Clearly, it's not going to be end road, though.
Well, I mean, the final hearing will take place post the holy vacation before the Supreme Court now. So we'll have to await the final verdict. But at the moment, the courts found that there's no ground for any interim stay of any of the findings of the Election Commission.
There is a concern, sir, from the side of Uddhav Thackeray that eventually property is going to be taken over, bank account is going to be taken over. Mr. Kapil Sibal has said in court that tomorrow Mr. Shinde is going to get up and say that they are the real Shiv Sena. That is something that they're apprehending.
Well, for the time being, we have been declared as the real Shiv Sena.
Yes. And
everything that we're legal and entitled to, which Mr. Shinde is legally entitled to, I suppose he will take in the interim.
Which means that as far as the finances of Shiv Sena is concerned, that is something that Mr. Shinde is going to claim a stake to.
I can't speak for, I mean, I can't speak for that aspect at this stage. It's a decision which Mr. Shinde will consider and take on his own.
However, Mr. Jethmalani, in the hindsight, I just want to ask you that there is a big challenge, as far as the cadre is concerned, the shakas are concerned. That continues to be a big concern when it comes to Mr. Shinde, because right now there's victory. He has the bow and arrow symbol. He has the name as well, Shiv Sena.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we have to wait and see what happens in the near future and in the not so near future. What happens with the party organization or the entire party organization. At the moment, there's only a very small part of it